The following is a paid program. The views and opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff, management, and parent company of KSTE. A voice for the small business. The Mark Montgomery Show continues. Talk 650 KSTE.
Welcome back, folks. Second hour of Small Biz Talk Radio, the Mark Montgomery Show, every Saturday morning, 6 to 8 a.m. on Talk 650 KSTE. We're going to go right to the phones. We have Clayton Anderson on the line with the the Anderson Shea Law Firm report. Good morning, Clayton.
Yeah, good morning, Mark. How are you doing?
Just fine. So are you in L.A. or are you here in Sacramento today?
I'm actually up in Sacramento. I went to the Capitals, Sacramento Capitals tennis match last night, and I understand we've been giving away tickets on your show in the past.
Yes, and matter of fact, we're going to give right after your report. I'm going to give away 2, and then after the bottom of the hour, we're going to give away 2 more to the upcoming match here this next Wednesday.
Well, tonight is, for those that don't have tickets, is the Washington Capitals, the very best team in world team tennis. And last night was a wonderful night, soft breezes and nice temperatures. And so I encourage everyone to go out and do that. We're sponsors of that pro event here in Sacramento. So how are you in April? How's your summer for you in April?
Well, so far, so good. Matter of fact, we've got open houses today and tomorrow, and she, of course, has just been incredibly busy, in real estate. So I don't know who she is. You mentioned April. I'm going, who?
Well, it's nice that it's all coming back. I mean, it's been a very tough road for a lot of people. And, what I wanted to talk about today was something that it's not an area of our practice, but I think it's an example that you probably have been following in terms of the shifting of some medical expenses because of medical malpractice to taxpayers. Over 30 years ago, California legislature capped what we call non-economic damages when there is medical malpractice. I know that's a hot-button conservative issue, but if people watched a movie called Hot Coffee, you can get it, I think, on the various services and whatnot, you'll see that the effect of capping pain and suffering of non-economic damages at $250,000 means that babies that are born brain damaged because of malpractice, if there's hospital infections, if there are other stuff, those people will get care. And you know who'll pay for that care? It'll be individual taxpayers and the small businesses that you talk about all the time. Mm-hmm. We're talking about a law, the California Malpractice or MICRA law, that protects big insurance companies. Has nothing to do with reform, quote unquote. Has everything to do with shifting huge amounts of money year after year from insurance companies, that's their job. That's their job, is to spread the risk, to Medi-Cal, to county welfare, to emergency rooms. People don't realize that. And there's going to be a lot of debate, I think, this year. There are conservative Democrats in the legislature who are going to be pushing back on it. Some states have total caps, no matter how badly you are damaged by the negligence of a doctor. And it happens all the time. Of course, attorneys are negligent, too. I mean, I'm not trying to differentiate ourselves. We're all negligent. There's no cap for attorneys. There should be no cap for doctors. But in some states, there's a total cap. Regardless of what a jury comes back with, how badly a young baby's damaged for the rest of its life, $2 million could be the cap. $3 million could be the cap. So when that cap is reached, then that baby's care, that physical therapy, the drugs, everything else, that shifts to the taxpayer.
Yep. Clayton, this really brings up an interesting subject, and we all go back to this whole coffee thing. The McDonald's situation where this woman poured hot coffee in her lap.
Did you see the movie?
No, I haven't.
Oh no, you should. Everything you think you know about that case, you don't know. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the point that I wanted to make here is that we've seen these lawsuits come back and the decisions made, and they're going to pay $50 million for something, and And I think this is where this all comes from. There was a tremendous backlash from juries just giving money away practically, exorbitant amounts, and then having an appeals court or whatever draw it back down, and it goes on and on and on and on. So what is the answer? How can you reach a balance? I agree with you here. The taxpayers are on the hook, and I don't think most people do know that.
Well, I think what some people are talking about, the possible compromise would be to lift the MICRA cap. I mean, if MICRA had been indexed for inflation, or COLA, cost of living, and in fact that was opposed by the trial lawyers, my brethren, over 30 years ago, because they didn't think the basic thing would pass. So the reason it's been stuck at $250,000, as I understand it, is the trial lawyers opposed putting a COLA on it. If it had a COLA, it'd be like $1.1 million, which would be a little fairer. But apparently what's going to happen is that the cap will be lifted or reset in some way with the COLA, cost of living, and then some form of arbitration, so that you can take away that argument about runaway juries. But that a baby that is brain damaged, that is unfortunately going to live to be 50 or 60 years and take $20 million to take care of, there's going to be compensation, maybe some sort of an annuity purchased or whatnot, but not just some sort of arbitrary cap on the issue, and that's what gets people. And yes, you can read a lot of headlines in the papers about various jury verdicts, but by and large, it's a very much corporate system. It's very tough to get compensation for people. It's tough to get compensation. Our bread and butter at Anderson Shea is, getting homeowners compensation. And yet we just had a trial date scheduled for January 2015. 2015, because of what's happened. I mean, we have dismantled our legal system. It's like cutting off Interstate 5. Well, there's too much traffic on Interstate 5. Let's just cut that off for a while and save some money. Hey, Clayton, we have an infrastructure.
Now, my understanding is, I thought Jerry Brown restored funding back to the courts. That was the big deal in the newspapers.
No, it's a very complicated world. He restored $63 million, but there's been over $1 billion in court in court cutting. There have been about 50 courthouses throughout the state that have been shut down. I mean, like I said, we have a great infrastructure, freeway infrastructure and whatnot. What if we arbitrarily, shut down some freeways to, quote, save money, unquote? You're going to have, how many millions of guns are there in this state? How many more incidents where people are just taking it into their own hands? They're going to go see George to get the money, and they're going to have a gun, and there's going to be an altercation because you can't get into small claims court even.
I know, I totally agree with you, Clayton, and it's a mess, absolute mess when it comes down to funding. And matter of fact, you're absolutely right. You liken it to the transportation system here, and even the transportation system needs help, out there, because so much money is being funneled into areas that, frankly, I don't agree with. But the legal system is one that is tremendously underfunded right now, and this cuts into oversight of government. Frankly,
we have a general fund of about $96 billion in the state, and about 1% of that goes to fund the third branch of government, the court system, a little over $1 billion. And I don't know where that instinct comes from, but I think they have a bit of a surplus that I've heard, and helping people be able to go to court and not drive for an hour across town. And in L.A., it's just a disaster, and I think Sacramento's coped pretty well, the courts and the judges, but they can only do so much. So,
Clayton, let's give your information out real quick before we hit the break.
Okay, well, it's Anderson Shea, SCHOECH.com, or NoCalLawFirm.com, and we're at 916-569-1940, and we give people legal services on a contingency basis. So
free consultation.
Get them inside the courthouse and try to help them.
You bet. Clayton, have a great weekend, and thanks for the report. Nice talking to you.
Talk to you later, Mark.
You bet.
Bye-bye.